Honorable Isaac Ruto, former governor of Bomet County, joins me in studio.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for finding time for us today.
Asante.
People are asking, where have you been? What's been keeping you busy in 2018? Maybe we can start from there.
I'm just resting. Yes, and giving Kenyans an opportunity to start finding what to do right now. What to do right now? Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you've had a chance this morning to look at the papers. Let me read you some of the headlines. Right. MPs summon Kobia Sicily over NYS probe. That's a headline that's been recurrent the whole week. On the other hand, 59 staff in critical silos owned by NCPB being invested for various malpractices. These are the headlines dominating the nation at this time. My question to you, and with your experience in leadership, where did we go wrong as a country that these, and some of them are recurring. It's not the first time that we've seen these headlines.
This, some institutions appear as if they are by design.
Designed for what?
They are designed to create these problems. For instance, NYS. Why year in, year out? You just change the faces and the practice remains the same. I think there is a need for a serious relook at how we do our work. For example, in terms of National Cereals and Produce Board, for a very long time under the Council of Governance, we told them a lot of that job could be done in conjunction with the county governments, because it will be possible for us to identify the real farmers. But if you send people who are miscellaneous all the way from Nairobi to start saying they are buying maize, they go there by design to get maize from Uganda, because they want to do trade themselves. They don't want to deal with the farmer. I think they need to borrow certain things like the ones under KTDA. KTDA is doing fairly well.
In your view?
Yeah, in my view, KTDA is doing fairly well under the circumstances. These scandals aren't there because there is serious participation of the actual stakeholder himself. In the maize industry, for instance, the farmers are not involved at all. They are not involved. They are just
yet they're the largest group of stakeholders in the maize industry.
Not only that, they are dealing with a stable food crop. Maize, for example, is such a popular foodstuff on the table. And here we are. They are not involved. The county governments are not even involved. So how do you expect anything else? The top leadership may be well-meaning. They mean well for Cereals Board. They will send them money. They will tell them, now go and do this. We've talked to the farmers. But the operators themselves have different ideas. Yes.
You said that you see a design. You see a design in NYS. You see a design in, for example, what we are seeing at the NCPB. Where there is a design, there's a designer.
Yes.
Who is the designer, in your view, in this case? Who is behind all this?
You know, the design is something we've kind of inherited over time. Like National Cereals and Produce Board, we've never quite restructured National Cereals and Produce Board to be in sync with the people. In the new constitution, there's something called public participation. Where are the public participating in how to buy the maize? Where are the farmers participating? The farmers in Uasin Gishu have been quite noisy about the issue of maize. But we are not finding any attempt to rearrange NCPB to link up with the farmer. No, there is hardly any. KFA has disappeared, and yet it was supposed to be a farmers association. Instead of sorting it out the way KCC has done, KCC is doing pretty well at the moment. We would have expected KFA, Cereals Board, to work closely with the KFA and possibly KFA to be rearranged to be linked to the farmer.
Are you confident that the officers involved, whether in NYS or NCPB, will be prosecuted? What's your gut feeling?
The problem is that they seem to have perfected how to destroy the footprints.
So evidence will get lost along the way.
Evidence, no matter how well-meaning those who want to prosecute will be, they may not find the footprints. They'll try, and then the courts just want foolproof footprints as to who was here
and who left, and that will not be presented
who was here
to them.
And who left with the goods. And you won't find them. You won't find them even at the Registrar of Companies. The only advantage at the moment is that I think the Registrar of Companies has improved by going digital. And we expect that it will be possible now, moving forward, to get the latest registrations as to who they are.
There are those who say that if Kenya and if the authorities spent the same passion dealing with corruption as they did dealing with, for example, Miguna,
yes,
then you and I would not be sitting here having this discussion because people would be behind bars.
Yes.
What is your take on those who feel that the authorities are misplaced in where they take all their energy?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that that is the way. It's just rests at the top. The whole structure is not in sync. You know, even the top will wake up one morning and act with a lot of gusto, and will act with a lot of anchor. After 1 week, the people they left to do the job. Just
because they move on to other things.
They just go to sleep. Now they'll be busy with another Miguna. Serials board will have been forgotten. So those who have been told to deal with serials board will just do the usual thing. Start talking with, start talking amongst themselves, and they assist one another in rubbishing and destroying evidence. So where are we heading?
In your view, then, what do we do? Because it sounds like if you're saying that the system...
It's better that we start linking up closer with the public.
Okay.
You know, the greatest and the most powerful watcher over his own right is the public themselves.
That's right, because it affects me directly.
Yes, directly. So the public needs to be involved. Like NYS, you know, we really don't know what NYS is doing. When I was governor, I would hear there are a number of youths that have been listed. They will be given money, and the money will be arriving on their phones, and thousands of youth, and you don't know who is recruiting them, who is paying them.
You are not consulted as a governor.
What are they supposed to be doing? No governor is aware of what those fellows are doing.
My goodness.
So if it is completely unknown, even this money they are saying they are sending through M-Pesa, how many other M-Pesa phone numbers are hidden? You know? So, and there is no one to actually follow up. By the time you look at them in Nairobi here, it's just a heap and heap of papers showing you who was paid. There is yet another issue.
Public participation is the key, in your view. If you bring the services closer to the people will watch over that.
They will watch over that. We've seen that even in allocation of tenders for doing work. It's better that project management committees be involved instead of somebody just arriving and building a classroom and disappearing, and you don't know what he was here to do. It is more important that we connect with the public. Okay. And the new constitution talked about public participation. There is very little public participation at the national level. What the national government does, very, 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 very little is known until the president himself comes out and tries to explain.
And clarifies.
The president himself or the deputy president goes out and say, we want to do this. And we are proceeding in this direction. This is what we want to do. No one else is explaining anything. Even the ministers themselves. That's why you hear a lot on the constitutional front, people saying probably MPs were better as ministers because they need to explain to the public. Because they could
explain from where they were.
They must explain every day to the public at home and in parliament. These others are nowhere to be seen.
Honorable Midiwo had a different perspective on how we should tackle corruption. He sat here, probably on the same seat that you sat, and he said, 2 high-scale convictions is what will change this country. He even said of the level of governors, that when you have 2 governors convicted, prosecuted, locked up, then the fight against corruption in this country will begin to sort of bear fruit. What's your take on that? That we see the mid-level managers, the lower-level managers are the ones who had hauled to court, but there's a certain level moving upward where you're guaranteed immunity.
You know, there is a lot of misconception even on the question of governors and the higher up. Those ones are not actual spenders. They are supposed to watch over the spending. Governors don't sign any LPOs. They don't sign any checks. They don't carry any cash. There is a system that is supposed to function. They are simply supposed to give direction. But if you start looking for a governor, where will you find him? And yet he has never been, it is not his business. There is an accounting officer who must do the job. There are tender committees, and there are all those other fellows down there. Sometimes he might even, I can't say they are completely innocent, because their responsibility is to ensure that things happen. And if they go wrong under their watch, then you must change the law for responsibility to move upwards.
To the governor.
Yes, but as of now, the responsibility, for example, for spending, ends at another level completely. His is at the policy level. Policy, do this, do that. The implementation is someone else.
But you feel that cannot be manipulated. You know, in Kenya, there's a big strongman mentality where an accounting officer would fear a phone call from a governor.
No, he shouldn't, because the responsibility is his. And he is personally held accountable. And the constitution says he is accountable. The law says he's accountable.
And he's the one who go to jail, and the governor will
he's the one who will go to jail. Free. And if he gets a phone call telling him to do an illegality, the first thing he should do is to report. I remember when we were learning public finance, we were told that what you do, if you are in disagreement with your boss, you write that advice. And then if you were to change it, he should write to you a directive changing your advice. You can then proceed only on that.
There are records.
Yeah, there are records.
Proof.
Yes, but if you tell us that you were told, or you were told by somebody close to a powerful man, then you're just fooling us. The point is, are you normal? Do you use your senses to think? Do you know what is right and wrong? And if you know, and if you don't know, there is no need for you to be an accounting officer. The accounting officer must take full responsibility for all these things. They must say no. And the sooner we start saying no to the wrong instructions, the better for everybody. Because these fellows are not doers. The big boys are not the doers themselves.
It happens at a lower level.
They happen at the lower level.
Honorable.
So that is why every other time, I wish Mudigo was here to tell me, how do you catch, and where is the history on that? And how will you do it legally? Because you'll say he gave instructions. Where are the record for the instructions?
So in a court of law, you can't prove.
You can't prove
those
it.
Allegations.
Yeah, everything that you want to convict must meet the standards of proof.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yes.
And that's the ideal, but we know that things sometimes do go rather different here in Kenya. I want to get your thoughts on something else. Healthcare. Your county and the county that you used to lead became a referral county for patients during the doctor's strike.
Yes.
It was said that in the Central Rift Valley, you go to Bomet because I think you had signed a CBA with your doctors, and they had said that for them, they'll carry on working no matter what's happening in other parts of the country.
Yes.
On that note, what are your thoughts then on the state of healthcare in this country, which is one of President Uhuru Kenyatta's big four, and the arrival of the Cuban doctors?
You see, we can't run away from responsibility. We must train our doctors. We must pay attention to their requirements. Of course, they should never hold us at ransom. That's why the national government has the responsibility to look for options, just in case some people can hold the country at ransom. So he has the final responsibility rests with the president, that he must think about what is right and what could be done. But it is possible if the counties themselves linked up with the doctors, and reasonable authority is allowed to them, reasonable. Then I think the doctor's question would be sorted out. Because in my view, even when I was chairman of Council of Governors, I believe that every county can sort out their problems with their doctors. The Constitution talked about devolution of healthcare. There was resistance, and there has been resistance, both by the status quo. There was resistance for that absolute devolution. Yet the Constitution simply transferred healthcare to a certain level to the county governments. If it says it has been transferred, why aren't you taking up the responsibility? The only thing we would expect...
Why are you asking this question to the governors?
Yes, the governors
Why are they not taking up responsibility?
Yes, the governors must take up the responsibility. The responsibility of the national government on healthcare is standards, training, capacity building, and of course referral hospitals are their main thing. But where there is an interface between the counties and the national government in terms of responsibility for this is on capacity building and training. But hiring, the individual counties should hire. In my view, they should hire, and then they should develop a clear system of remuneration.
Okay.
But that doesn't stop the need for standardization of those remuneration reasonably.
By the national government.
But the person in Wajir and Marsabit must look at his situation and understand that he could do slightly better. And let me tell you, there is nothing wrong in me recruiting a doctor from Homa Bay in Bomet and giving him a higher job group, because I simply think I need his services. Maybe he was in job group whatever, M or K, for example. And I tell me, you come here, then we'll give you M. There is nothing wrong with that. So you give him a higher position, there is nothing wrong with that.
So in a sense, you say, let's keep improving the capacity of our doctors, but if our doctors are holding the country ransom, bring in the Cuban doctors, let them come in.
There's absolutely nothing wrong. But I think that should be an absolute last resort.
They're coming, so does that mean that we are at the end, that we cannot do what we need to do with the doctors we have here, that we have to bring in the Cuban?
Current doctors we have, we were able to relate pretty well in Bomet, and they were working very well. I was satisfied and they were satisfied. And if there is an issue they wish raised, they would just come over, we discuss, because it is very close. Just walk to the governor's office. Then you call in the minister in charge of, the CC in charge of health, call in the chief officers concerned, the head of county service, civil service, discuss those issues. Is it solvable within the existing regulations? If it is, if no regulation actually bars you from addressing that issue, why don't you go ahead and do it? Why not? Why do we have to wait until there is such a huge problem that we start losing lives, and then we start acting in a manner as if we are not aware? The responsibility should fall first with the governor. Let the governor sort out their problems. The last resort is the president's intervene.
By the time it gets the president, it means that things are now completely out of control.
And there is consultation and cooperation. The governors will discuss with the president.
Let me get your rating of the current Council of Governors. This is a quote in the Standard recently, and they quoted you saying that you are worried. COG is diminishing. The Senate, which should be a defender of counties, has turned out to be its enemy. And the Treasury is happy because it has no love lost with the devolved units. Were you misquoted, or was this your actual quote, and do you still stand by these words?
Very rarely do I say I was misquoted. I don't fear owning up what I say. Yes, I'm a little bit concerned, but I had decided to keep my conscience close to myself. I had promised the electorate that I will keep quiet for more than a year. I would let them
you have another how many months before
I have a few more months. I would like them to settle and do some service delivery. Because you see, I also wanted service delivery to the public. And if we start interfering with the governors or with the president and the national government when they are busy delivering, then we would not also be helping the public, which we are part of. But nevertheless, the issues I said there remain, in my view, my observation, because I still feel that there was need to complete the devolution process, which was, the Senate never completed their part. There are lots of legislation they never passed, and they were becoming more predators because they wanted to be governors themselves. A number of senators simply wanted the governors out, and they were assisted by those others who also felt certain governors were becoming a little bit louder.
Too powerful.
Yes, so that really happened, but that's neither here nor there. Those are the issues in terms of the Senate. The other issues in terms of Council of Governors. I
mean, when you hear them saying that they now they're looking for closer relations.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with closer relations, because there is need for cooperation and consultation between the two levels of government. But that doesn't mean they should merge.
Is that what you see now?
That doesn't mean that you should merge the county governments with the national government. It also means we should not simply stop pushing devolution towards its logical end. Because what I'm seeing at the moment is that either there is fatigue, or the current generation are not aware of what was ailing this country in the 90s.
Of what you and Peter Munya fought for.
Yes, either they are not aware, but the country doesn't belong to us. It belongs to everybody. So if you feel our ideas aren't that important, I have no right to force it on you. We can only maybe write down our memoirs for another generation to deal with these issues, because the current generation may no longer be aware of what was ailing this country in the 90s and below. And then the importance of actualizing devolution for purposes of growth at the local level. Because at the local level, there is serious unemployment, there is serious disillusionment, vijana have no jobs, even the elders, even those that are middle-aged, are terribly disillusioned in terms of how do they meet their daily needs. And yet investments aren't quite happening the way they should at the lower level. We seem to be moving towards consolidation at the top. We are moving towards, again, what we did in the 60s and the 70s. That we started off with the devolution. And then we ran away from it. We moved towards centralization. Okay. We also attempted to start with devolution, and I think pole we will move towards centralization again. There are those who say another generation will come again to fight for this. There are those who say that the changes we made in the constitution were not conclusive. We go back to a referendum. We need to continue to tweak and amend our constitution to favor what Kenyans need or what Kenyans see as their core issues. Do you agree with them? Yes, I am in agreement. The only that we go back, that we have a referendum. But not right now. Okay. I'm of the view that we need the first 3 years, we give the incumbents an opportunity to deliver. For example, the president to deliver on his Big Four agenda. His Big Four agenda, and then he wants to leave his legacy. And anyway, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that in Kenya we ought to reduce politicking. After elections, we need to bring the tempo down for at least 3 years, so that people start seeing some service delivery. Then the last year we can rush into politicking. So that is when we need to deal with certain issues in the constitution. In my view, there are certain aspects that I will contribute on. Okay. But I wouldn't want this country to be pushed into a referendum within the first 2 or 3 years. Because referenda is potentially divisive, and that is why I supported immediately after the elections. I was one of those who said, no, let's leave it. However imperfect this election is, let's move on. Let's allow Kenyans to move on. Let's not create a situation in which we will start losing lives. We saw a few babies being killed. That is not my idea of a country where you can kill babies because of political disagreements. We don't need to lose the youth. We don't need to lose anybody. And it's very interesting that you've taken us back to 2017. As you look back to 2017, Honorable Ruto, do you have any regrets about the decisions you made? No. No regrets? No. I have no regrets. I think... if we were to take you back in time... I would say the same things. You'd still be in NASA? Yeah, I would say the same things. I would do the same things. Because I believe in what I do. I have serious beliefs to back it up. And on any debate, if you ask me to come and debate the issues that we were raising, those issues remain valid. They remain valid. There's something else also that must remain valid. We must be able to debate freely without any enmity, but we must watch. We should not push our country to the brink like we did in 2007. That was a very regrettable period. We should never go in that direction. That's why I support the president when they agree with the Raila Odinga and the other group. We must have peace in this country. Obviously, and we must be able. The handshake on the same note. We must sort out our problems ourselves. We don't require Kofi Annan here. We don't require Kikwete to come and tell us, live together as brothers. It should be possible for us after an election to have a handshake and say, let's proceed, gentlemen. This country belongs to all of us. Now, your ideas, implement them. Let's watch. Let's meet in the next election again and allow us a free space. The only thing we need to do is to fix the imperfections in the way we manage our electoral process. Okay. And that will improve how we go moving forward. Even before the handshake happened, there was a handshake last year between you and Deputy President William Ruto, bringing to an end the enmity that we had seen during the campaign period. Yes. The Deputy President seems to be a man under siege, from the mission to Kabarak that did not go as had been hoped, to even yesterday we saw DM legislators come out saying the Deputy President is a threat to Kenya's development, etc. And one gets the feeling that the Deputy President could be undergoing the same challenges that many former Vice Presidents or Deputy Presidents have undergone in this country as they aim to succeed the President. Yes. What would you say about the place the Deputy President finds himself in at this time? You said we want peace, but what we're seeing every day in the paper is a back and forth between ODM and those who are on the Deputy President's side. But if it is just some verbal exchanges and expressions of opinions, nothing stops people from expressing their opinion. But the point is, is that Jubilee are in government, and their responsibility is to deliver between now and 2022. At that time, we come back now to challenge them. If you want to challenge them, if you want to agree with them, you are also free to agree with them. But the point right now is, where does that lead us to? Even if we were to say all those stories, even if you were to say you don't want what you don't want, where does it lead to? Because we don't want to create a situation in which we are on our tenterhooks 24/7.
24/7, year in, year out.
Year in, year out. We should be saying, how are we ensuring that people have water? Are we ready for disasters? The lessons we have learned over these past 3 months of heavy rain, are we ready to face it? We should be discussing, how are you going to bring back infrastructure that has been destroyed by the rains? It's not a question of who is Isaac Ruto, who is William Ruto. It's not a question of who is Raila Odinga. We all know these people. they have been here for a long time. What is the issue? What do you want them? Even Midiwo, we know him, and he has no business. I mean, we can't wish him away. He belongs to this country. I'm saying every one of us belongs to this country.
You mean Midiwo or Miguna?
Miguna and Midiwo and the others. And all the others. I'm simply saying ODM and KANU and Jubilee.
They're all part of Kenya.
They're all part of Kenya. Let us debate as Kenyans, but we should be clear as to what we need to be discussing at the moment. How do we revamp infrastructure that has been washed out by the rains? How can we ensure that the dams we build are safe for Kenyans? That is the direction we should be talking. How do we ensure there is water in Nairobi? There is no water in spite of so much rain. Those are the issues we should be addressing right now. Remember, we've just gone over an election. So the people saying they don't want the deputy president, where does it go? I mean, what do you do about it?
What do you do about it, even if you...
What do you do, even if you don't want
they say that the development that you're asking for is hindered by... They're saying by him or his camp.
That is what they should be debating in June last year. I think that is what they should have been saying last year, is that the president, the deputy president, that party, and it is that party versus this other party. We want to do better, we can do better. That's what they should be saying.
But now it's too late.
Now, that is not the agenda right now. What is on the agenda right now for the opposition is to be vigilant in parliament. They should bring forth to the knowledge of the public the issues that they think are ill and that need to be corrected. They should be eternally watchful. They are now the people's watchmen. Now they should watch what Jubilee is doing. But they should not go personal. You know, personality issues. Talking about individuals doesn't help Kenya. We should be talking about issues. And I look forward to a time when this country will be having political parties hinged on policies, on ideology, and clear programs.
It seems at the moment we do not have.
We want to deal with the personalities, and we are, these personality cults aren't going to help us.
So are you the one going to form that party then? What are your next moves? You told one of the publications the other day that by the end of the year you will begin to hear my voice again.
Yes.
When is that time, and what is going to be your message?
But that message will come at that time. Otherwise, you are bringing forth.
I'm coming too quickly.
You are bringing it a little bit too early.
There were expectations that you would get a government job, but do you still hold on to that? Was there any truth to that, or it was just people talking?
Remember, I'm a politician and I lead a political party.
Yes.
Now, what do you mean? Unless we have got a coalition with another party.
So there were no expectations that you quote-unquote would be rewarded with a cabinet position?
What did you want me to do? Apply for a job? To be a PS? Apply for a job to do what? That's what I would probably ask you.
Okay.
Yeah? Unless there is such a discussion,
yes,
I wouldn't expect anything out of the blues from the like a lightning bolt. So what are the issues? It's just talk.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong with
that clarification.
I would like to contribute, obviously, to continuous development of this country. And we can discuss any role anyone would think I could participate in. I wouldn't mind participating on positive development for this country.
Okay.
But that does not necessarily change my usual thinking. I would want to continue to contribute on ideas. I've been on the political plane for a little long.
We know that parliamentarians who did not defend their seats in the last election have come together and formed an association because they say the knowledge that they learned while in parliament should not just be left out there because they're no longer quote-unquote in the August House. Do you think moving further that's something that should happen in the Council of Governors, that post-2022 governors who don't come back but who have skills, and you know, governors go for training, they go for benchmarking, there's a lot that they learn that could be used to benefit the nation. Do you think something should be done about that?
Yes. For governors are elders.
Governors are elders, actually.
They are elders
you
of
put it
this
in the right
country.
way, yes.
And they need to continue to contribute, even in terms of ideas and giving direction, and ensuring that there is a reasonable culture of tolerance, a reasonable culture of peace and coexistence amongst the various communities of this country. By now, we should have gotten out of the culture of tribalism. We seem to be driven by tribal orientation in terms of our allegiance to various political parties. And that is still a problem even in rural areas. Yet, if we were to focus on issues of policy and development and alternative ways of doing things, and if we could at least push on the idea of public participation in most of these things, Kenya will become very cohesive.
I think you've sent your message quite clearly to Kenyans out there who are watching. My final question to you would be, and this is on a lighter note, how would you say life is different when you're in the Council of Governors, when you're outside? What do you say is the biggest change from when you were in the Council of Governors?
I'm a little bit more relaxed.
You're a bit more relaxed?
Yes, I have time even for the family. I can look at the issues I didn't. And I have time to read.
You have time to read?
Yes.
Okay.
I like reading.
You like reading? Let me read two quick SMSs. Someone here says, Isaac Ruto, you're a man of the people. So it seems you have a supporter here. But someone says, kindly ask the Mheshimiwa why he went abroad for a medical treatment. Does that mean we don't have doctors here while talking about Cuban doctors? So they say you were known for good healthcare in Bomet, but at a time when you needed healthcare yourself, we saw you going overseas to get
that. You see, there is that information is based on propaganda.
Okay.
For example, they said there was only a...
So to do with your nose?
Yeah, that I only had, what is it called?
Scratch or...
Yeah, that there was only an elastoplast here. You know, little do they understand exactly what happened. I was referred to South African hospital by Nairobi Hospital.
Oh, it's the hospital themselves that said you need...
Yes, and I was given 2 doctors to take me there. When you look at me now, you know, the whole face was broken. All the bones here were broken. And they told me if they were going to operate here, I would lose my eye.
Really?
Because there was a problem with to fix the bones just below the face.
Okay.
They would interfere with the tear back. And there is no repair for the tear back. So they told me one eye will be dry. And therefore, it will have to be removed. But they told me there are options. They told me they were going to do it if I cannot get an option, because the operation had to be done within 7 days. So I either go to South Africa, Europe, or America or India to have that operation done. That decision had to be made immediately. And they told me that I can't travel to Europe because the pressure in the plane.
And it's an
would not allow
flight.
Yeah, would probably cause some problem. Push in, because when you don't have bones on the front of your face, then the brain is very close. So they told me that is too dangerous for you to fly to Europe.
So South Africa
so they told me South Africa is best, but you must travel with a doctor. So I was taken there. The operation was done, and I didn't lose my eye by going to South Africa. There are no cuts because they did what they call minimal intrusion operation. I was, it was a decision of 4 professors.
So who was spreading this propaganda?
It was politics. You know, they brought it into politics. They even said it was a stone. Yet it was a tear gas canister that moved and settled here and was able to break the bones on the face.
Wow,
They're all broken, and the CT scan is there to show it. I was shown that I didn't also know the
severity or the seriousness.
The seriousness, because I traveled from Bomet anyway. I came by air, but I slept the whole night, not knowing the dangers.
That if you had waited longer, what would have happened to your face and to your eye?
I didn't know, or even if I had touched it and pushed it, because the whole area was moving in. So I didn't know that it was that bad until it was checked.
Thank you.
So right now, so I didn't go for South African treatment simply because I wanted to travel out.
Or for holiday.
Or for holiday.
Saying, yes.
No. It was Nairobi Hospital, and I still see the same doctors.
Okay.
Even this past week, I had to go and see them for further
Thank you.
checkups. Yeah.
Honorable Ruto, thank you for finding time to come here and clarify some of these issues.